It is 12 o'clock on Thursday, May 12th. This is the opening of the Townsend Board of Health. We have a roll call, please.
Gavin Byers.
James LaQueer.
And Chris Nocella. Additions or deletions, Carla? I don't think we have any, or do we?
I don't have any.
No? Okay, we do not. We are going to, Joan, are you on the phone? Uh-oh.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, okay. So we're gonna move 1.8 up to accommodate Joan from the Leominster Tobacco Alliance Director to update the regulations. So we're gonna move her from 1.8 up to start the appointments and hearings. Joan, take it away.
Well, I think I'm on the agenda because there was a general request to get a tobacco permit, and you guys have a retiring cap. So I'm not sure if everybody's the same board member that was there back when Townsend passed that, but the retiring cap was a density strategy to lower the number of places in town to reduce, tobacco use and use access to tobacco. And what that is if you, at the time you had 13, so in your regs, it does say you have 13 permits at the time that you passed this, and as somebody goes out of business or a business turns it completely in, that gets retired and it reduces your number to 12, to 10, to 6, however many throughout the years. So we had somebody over the years, if somebody was interested in opening a brand new place, they've been told, there's no cap for you. So what this does do is it does allow your current businesses to still sell their business, but they transfer it while the business is active. So if somebody goes out of business and the building is empty for a couple of years, that it gets retired because the building is just a building now, it's not a business. So it doesn't prevent somebody from selling their business and the new owner getting a tobacco, but they have like 30 days from the day of the transfer of the business sale to do that. So if somebody is requesting a tobacco permit right now, for anybody, the answer has been, since this reg passed, we don't have one available for you unless you're buying a current store. So there's nothing the board can do about it because there's no variance procedure in your regulations. So the only thing the board could possibly do is they would ask us to draft language to turn it into a regular cap, which means it's a set number and it's never more than that number and people go on a waiting list. But in order to do that, you would have to draft the language, notify the public, hold the public hearing, after the public hearing, make a motion to change your regs, and then legally post them. I'm not, I just wanted to explain the intention of why the board did it back then. And it was, it's called the density strategy that many towns in the Alliance, Central Mass, and other parts of Massachusetts have in place. So, there's a request to, can I have a tobacco permit? The answer is no. And then if somebody wants to request the board to make the change, the board would have to entertain a motion from somebody to do that. Another board member, somebody would have to make a motion to make the change. If there's no motion, it kind of dies on the floor. Nobody makes the motion. So I don't know where we're at with this. I just know that there was a request for a tobacco permit and it's denied because you have a retiring cap.
Okay. Questions?
What regulations would pertain to a private club with that? Because I believe that's all the actual...
It makes no difference if it's a private club, a gas station, a mom and pop convenience store. I do know with liquor licenses, there's differences in levels of, beer and wine. If you're a bar, if you're a full liquor license, if you're a private club, they're separate. For tobacco control permits, it's just number of locations, period. So if you're a restaurant that wants to sell tobacco behind the counter, you can. If you're a hardware store that wants to sell tobacco, you can. You just have X amount of permits. So even though it's a private club, there's no special designation to allow a private club to sell tobacco. But we have had in the past private clubs that used to have vending machines, and several of them, when vending machines got prohibited, they went and sold behind the counter. And I do have some private clubs that still sell tobacco from behind the counter. If you had one already existing that paid every year, since this reg went in place, they would be counted in your current. But if you have a private club that now hasn't had a tobacco license and now wants one, they fall in the same category of a golf course who wants to have it for selling cigars. A new retailer, a new gas station is opening up in town. There's not a tobacco permit. If somebody wants to be a convenience store, there's not one available because you have a retiring cap.
What year was that put in?
I don't have your current reg in front of me, but Carla might have it.
I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was 2016.
I want to say
Wow.
maybe around 2014.
I thought it was 2016, well,
2016. All right, so yeah, 2016. The capping choices came in the draft 14 to 17. So it depends. I do this for 42 towns, so I didn't remember exactly, but it would have been right around there. So, but it's right in your regs. It has the date that it was passed, implemented, who the board members were at the time that signed it on. One of the things that in changing a policy like that, you may have had businesses since 2006 that requested and were told you couldn't have one. I don't know, because if somebody just called for a general question, I'd like to, we have a retiring cap, I'm sorry, there's not a tobacco permit available. So there could have been people in the past that have been told no. There are several towns that have just a straight up cap. We have, usually at the time capping, people capped, if they didn't do the retiring cap, they capped it at one more than they had. So if they had 10 current retailers, they capped it at 11, just to allow for a little bit of growth. But a majority of Central Mass has the retiring cap, and then, there's a handful of people that still have a straight up cap.
Gavin, you have anything?
I think typically, if we didn't have a cap situation, I would say, we could entertain it. Certainly don't want to bring anything forward, and I certainly wouldn't ask the board to make a motion to have something drafted and spend money to move forward on something that pretty recently was just
I don't know if you have a
passed.
formal request before you, or you just, somebody inquired, I'm not exactly sure.
there is a formal request. It came in through an
Okay, so
email.
if there's a formal request, if the request is for a permit, the answer is there isn't one available, because your current reg says there isn't one available under this circumstance. So if there's a request for the board to amend the regs, then the board, this is where we're at. You can leave it the same, or if you're going to entertain amending the regs, the motion would be to amend the language, hold a public hearing, notify everybody, all the other retailers, the public, hold a public hearing, set a public hearing date, and then make a motion to vote what you're going to do after. Because it's a major change in your regulations, so you can't do that without a public hearing.
Okay. I will say to the board that I think this is a good thing. I would like to see the motion to keep it the way it is, if that's what we need to do. I don't find it unreasonable that boards in the past sometimes get a little carried away with stuff. I don't find that to be in this case. If someone would like to, do we need a motion to?
No,
No?
you,
Just one of the things, you could make a motion to keep the regs the way they are, or you could entertain a motion to, amend the regs and go to public hearing, and if nobody, the chair may entertain it, and nobody makes a motion, it just dies. So either way gets it done. But, again, if you open up to a vote, I don't, it's what the majority of the board feels.
Yeah. Well, this is a new board, so to speak, so I would feel comfortable with a vote on keeping the regulations the way they are. I guess I'll make that motion myself. Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so that's unanimous, so we're gonna keep the reg as is, as depleting as it goes. Okay?
So that's a good thing, and my you voted before, my recommendation was to leave it as is, for multiple reasons that, half of them I already discussed, density strategy, things like that. But now this means, future requests, the board had already made a motion to leave the regs the way they are. So it's a cleaner way to make a motion to leave it the way it is than to just not entertain and let it die. So it's clear now. And then
Okay.
the only other thing that I wanted to add is, there's been COVID communication didn't go as well as everybody had hoped and planned during COVID. Every board was busy with COVID. Tobacco control was still out doing inspections. We did a lot of work. We had extra money, so we had a lot more points of contact with owners and managers in terms of informing them of the new law. And as of January 1st, 2020, any sale to a minor, we have to issue under the state statute, and it requires $1,000, $2,000, and $5,000 fines. So if you have a retailer that has restricted flavor products in their store, it's no longer 100, 200, 300, it's 1,000 to 5,000.
Wow.
Youth access sales to minors are 1,000 to 5,000. It's mandatory for the youth access sales for 1,000, 2,000, and 5,000 to give minimum permit suspensions, even if it's their first violation in the 36-month period. So every retailer has received a phone call. Every retailer, and we used whoever was on the permit and whoever is listed on the DOR. Those are the numbers that we used in calls. We mailed by U.S. mail to every retailer a packet, and then we hand-delivered and had every store sign that they received. We asked for the owner or manager. If the owner or manager wasn't there, the clerk signed that they received it for the store. And then we did extra retail ed visits, and we did a mock education visit saying, if this was a inspection with our iPad, you still have this product and this product that's no longer allowed, please remove it, because we're going to start enforcement inspections, and this would be a $1,000 fine, $2,000 fine. So we did significant education on that, and we're now out and about, and those fines are going out. And, what happens is, as always, those fines go to your general fund. So we send out a fine to a violator. It says pay or appeal to the Townsend Board of Health, and we follow it through with the Townsend Board of Health. And obviously, if there's a fine that there's an appeal, you would hold the hearing. In the past, Board of Health would hold the permit suspension hearing, and clerk magistrates would hold the fine hearing, and then the clerk magistrate's office collects the fine, and it never goes to the town. Clerk magistrates are so backed up with COVID, they asked public health across the state to hold the fine hearings and the permit suspension hearings at the Board of Health level, and then if somebody wants to appeal it beyond that, they can go to the clerk magistrate. So far, I've had 27 hearings this year, and nobody has appealed it, and they all were found responsible, and they all paid within 3 days after the hearing. We don't have a lot of activity right now in Townsend with non-compliance, so I just wanted to let the board be aware that those are the fines that are going out. Back in June, July, August of 2022, we sent some emails explaining this to boards of health, but with COVID, people remote working, town halls being closed. Sometimes when you do a big group email to all your boards, some don't get it. So, asking you to remember, hey, in 2020, I by email let you know this. I just want to be clear now. So it's not a shock, especially since it's new board members, if all of a sudden $1,000 or $2,000 fine comes across into your office. And where we have new board members, tobacco control is funded on the belief that our job is to help you come into compliance, not catch you into non-compliance. So we do a lot of work to work with retailers to give them the information before the compliance checks and retail visits happen. And then after retail visits, we will give them all the time that they want. We do those on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We go out after 9 and no later than 3, so they're not too busy. So that way, if they have questions, they can talk to us. Every retailer has my cell phone number that can call me directly for any questions or any additional educational materials they think they might need for their retailer. So with the new board, the purpose of tobacco control is to educate and help people come into compliance, but when they don't, you also have to use the same agency that fines them and does the punitive part based on whatever the violation section requires.
Thank you, Joan. We really appreciate your time. You're doing a great job, and thank you for informing us of all your progress.
All right. And Carla knows how to reach me at all times, so if there's any other questions or if a Board of Health sees something, they can message Carla and we can, check things out. Anybody, you need any research on any tobacco control related questions, we're here to do that for you.
All right, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Joan.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's move back into line. 1.3, COVID update. Rick?
Alright, so we got there'll be numbers that come out tonight at 5 o'clock, so they get released on mass.gov, so if you're interested in looking, mass.gov, there's a COVID tab, and that data will be released later on. But the last one was reported on May 5th, and Townsend at the time had 25 cases. Percent positivity rate, Townsend was at 6.33, Middlesex County 5.15, and the state at 5.11. Looks like in 3 weeks the vaccination rate, it did change a little bit, so it went from 68 to 69% of the Townsend population that's fully vaccinated, and the boosters remain the same at 40%. And I'm sure you've seen that there's definitely a bump in COVID cases going around. We had talked about at the last meeting, I think just before our meeting, the state had come out with the Boston wastewater data, and it had peaked and was going down. And what the people at Mass DPH had told us was, Boston's kind of its own thing. As you get out into the suburbs, we're 4 weeks or so behind them, which would put us at about 2 weeks from today. So we'll continue to monitor it, but it's fluctuated. So 2 weeks ago we were at 20. Last week we were at 11, and then 25. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it, but there's definitely there's some activity going on.
And that doesn't even count all the people that take testing at home and just staying home.
No, just people that have PCR tests that are
Yeah.
reported to DPH. And then as far as, so when the CDC had kind of redone what they did as far as COVID data, they have that community level that they come up with, so it takes into account current cases, hospital capacity, and a couple other pieces of data. And right now Middlesex County is in the high level. So just to make you guys aware.
We were in the high level?
High level, yeah.
Yeah, lucky us. Anything else?
That's all I've got for COVID.
Okay, any questions? No? Okay, let's move on. We're moving on to 1.4, 116, Wallace Hill Road, septic upgrade with an LUA.
So it's 4-bedroom existing house. They're looking to replace the tank with a 1,500-gallon 2-compartment. They did spec that at H20, so vehicle rated because of the proximity to the driveway. And then it gravity feeds to a 35 by 20 leach field. They are asking for a couple of local upgrade approvals. The first one is a sieve analysis in lieu of a perk. It was just too wet to perk at the time when we had done the original testing. And then the other one is a reduction in a minimum 4 feet of naturally occurring pervious material. So this hole right here had 4 feet of material. This one had just 4 feet, and then this one had 48 feet of total, which gives a
48 inches, not 48.
48 inches.
It's
Sorry,
like,
yeah.
wow, that changed a lot.
So it had 2 feet of pervious, so 12 inches of topsoil, 12 inches of subsoil, and then 2 feet of seed. So it doesn't meet the 4-foot requirement, but their concern getting over this way was, one, they were encroaching on that property line, they were getting close to the wetland, and also because of the groundwater, you can see the mound that's created, and they felt like they could get as close. That gave them the most area to be able to properly grade, meet breakout, and all that. So there'll be a significant amount of sand coming in to make up for that, not 4 feet of pervious material. But it doesn't meet the minimum as far as the code's required. But Title V does allow the local Board of Health to reduce that to the 2 feet.
Now, is this on top of the ground or below ground?
It's way up. So, yeah, that's 91 right there,
Yeah.
and they're coming up to, 95 right there,
Oh, I didn't
94
see
right
that
here.
one. Okay,
So
yeah.
it's coming up, 4 to 5 feet,
Wow.
or
Okay.
3 to 4 feet.
Yes, Jim?
Were there any holes dug in this area? right here?
Yeah, so we dug a bunch along here, we dug a bunch along the property line here. We dug some out over in this area, and we hit ledge everywhere.
Okay, is this going to interfere with the elevation of the pipe when it's coming out of the tank to the D-box?
As far as the ledge issues?
Yes.
It shouldn't, because we had soil, we just didn't have the 4 feet of pervious. So it was kind of similar to these holes where we had, the foot of topsoil, the foot of subsoil, and then the 2 feet of pervious, but it just didn't meet 4 until we got out over to the property line over here.
Where I'm going with that point, Rick, is in the event that there's an unforeseen obstacle here that's gonna be wedged where this pipe cannot be put in at the proper elevation, I'm going to ask if with your, in the board, obviously, could this be moved to go around the obstacle to avoid having the blast or whatever?
At that point, it's liquid, so as long as it didn't get to the point where the length made it less than 1% slope overall, yeah, they could.
Because Schedule 40 doesn't bend.
No, well, it does a little bit, but yeah, not that much.
No.
So yeah, they could work their way around obstacles because it's just liquid going through there. They've already dropped the solids in the tank. So they could put bends in if they end up needing to.
Okay, where I'm going with this one, in the event that something happens to stop that pipe from going through at the proper elevation, I think we ought to make an allowance right now that if they have to go to either side to get that to have a continual flow, that it's accepted.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Because I was at the site myself, I saw this, and
Yeah, okay.
having been in the field, I realized what can happen.
Yeah.
And they did, so they sleeved under the driveways too.
Yes, yeah.
Just in case.
Very good.
Okay, so you need a motion
We need a motion on this, please.
for the groundwater offset to go down to...
So it's pervious soil from 4 feet to 3 feet, and then use of a sieve analysis.
Okay, including the option to go not in a straight line with the Schedule 40 in the event of hitting ledge there. That's the motion I make. Does anybody understand it, or?
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, a second.
Yeah. Just giving them the option if they hit ledge and can't get the.
Yeah, normally we don't go that route, but we don't want to put those people to having the blast, et cetera.
No. All right, so do we get a second on that?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Let's sign these guys up.
Could probably wait for 22 and Turnpike to,
Yeah. let me just fix my pen here. But, for some reason. No, this is great. Look, it's got a stylus. All right, where are we going to?
You wanna go to 75 Barker Hill?
We can do that.
Okay,
Okay. So we're going to jump down
1.7.
to 1.7 Barker Hill Road, which I have a lot of stuff in my hand. If we can start somewhere here.
So I gave you, Chris, their proposed plans for the addition, as well as the septic file. So the system was approved for 4 bedrooms, and they have proposed, so with 4 bedrooms, you're allowed to have 4 rooms that meet the definition of a bedroom, and then the other piece is that you can have 9 total rooms, and that would not include bathrooms, foyers, or unheated spaces. So they in the proposed addition, they end up exceeding that total 9 rooms that they're allowed. One of the pieces in Title V says that if you're going to exceed that, but you still only have 4 rooms that meet the definition of a bedroom, you can request permission from the Board of Health to put a notice on the deed that would restrict the property to 4 bedrooms, and that would allow you to exceed that 9 total rooms. So that's why they're here today is to request that permission from the board.
Question?
What do they got for a system there now, Rick?
Chris,
I have these drawings, Jim, if you want to.
that's the addition.
That's the addition drawing.
Let me see what I can find in here for you, buddy. We got a 50 primary installation on 2011. Rick was, 4-bedroom dwelling, 1,500 gallon septic, 1,000 gallon septic tank with filter. Secondary installation, 2 foot wide by 2 foot deep by 33 inch long leach trench capped. If that makes sense to you, Jim?
Yes, actually, I signed this tonight, so.
So
Okay.
yeah, the 2 tanks, so 1,500,000 gallon, and then gravity feed to 4 trenches. It looks like.
Okay.
But the calcs were based on a 4-bedroom, and so right now I believe it's a 3-bedroom house, and so they have that additional capacity for the bedroom that they'd like to put in. They also have an office on the plans that we had talked about, so as long as they took the door off, it no longer met the definition of a bedroom. But even so, they still end up exceeding that 9 total rooms.
Yeah,
And it's just in case you're wondering, because Gavin, I don't think you've done this before.
Right.
It's something that the board has done in the past, so as long as it doesn't look like, even though they're gonna call it a 4-bedroom, it's gonna be used as something else. In this case, it doesn't look that way, it's just really the additional living space that they're putting on.
it's that 9 room.
It ends up
cap,
exceeding it.
yeah. Yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve 75 Barker Hill Road, the proposed addition with a 4-bedroom deed restriction.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I
So-
assume this is your addition at 30 by 40? Your addition is bigger than my house.
When do you want us to move it?
Wow. Guys.
And then, so had I sent you sample language for that restriction yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
So, if you don't wanna do it, because we're being taped, I can just give Todd a call and either get his email or your email, and then I can send that language over to you so that you can start working on that.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
Great.
alright, sounds great.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
thank you.
Enjoy.
All right, let's
Now we
go
go
back up to,
Don't forget the wine.
If you bring the food. Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, let's go back up to we just did that one. 22 Main Street, change of use update.
Okay.
Rick, is that you?
It is.
So you just received a letter.
Yes, I actually.
That obviously,
I don't know what I do.
changes things a little bit, but, as far as where our things
Let Jim,
stand,
if he wants to take a look. at
we
that.
had met on April 25th with Sally over at the reading room. And you guys had come up with a plan for her to replace her septic tank. And as part of that plan, you put certain milestones that you wanted to be met along the way. So the first one came up on May 9th, and that required that she submit estimates from licensed contractors to the board, and I have not seen anything from her. So I did try calling her this morning, and she was busy until 1 o'clock. So I was gonna try to see if she had anything that she could provide to us, which I'll still do. But in the meantime, the other day, Eric had asked me for a copy of this letter, and what he ended up doing was putting together a cease and desist based on zoning violations. And was that dated today, Chris, or yesterday?
Gavin has it.
So, a
Yeah.
couple of days ago,
Yeah.
but that went out, so, from a zoning perspective, they've asked her to cease and desist. And then from ours, she hasn't met that first milestone that we asked that she meet.
Her time's already up on that, she has done nothing.
Right.
As far as I know, like I said, I'll still call her and ask if she's got something to submit. But as of right now, she doesn't have anything, and again, the deadline was the 9th that you had provided.
So as a Board of Health, what do we do, Rick? Do we send also cease and desist, or,
If that's what you'll wanna do, we could, it's really up to you guys what route you'd like to take at this point.
well, I think as a board, we've been very fair on what we did with her. We're pretty much the only board that did something like this to help her, and if she's not complying, I find that, I don't know how to put it. I guess I'm just disappointed that she didn't decide to do her end of the bargaining that she agreed to do. You know, that, I'm not sure what the board thinks. What do
The
you guys
wish
think?
list and the promises have not been fulfilled,
Yes,
and that was in good faith from the Board of Health,
yes,
assisting her to move forward. She's not upholding her commitment to us,
right,
so that's wrong.
okay,
We can't treat her any differently than anybody else at this stage of the game.
absolutely not. What do you guys wanna do, Gavin?
I mean, what's the maximum situation
It would be a cease-
presentation, a cease and
a cease
desist?
and desist, yeah.
And then, what's the follow-up with that?
If she didn't comply with that, then we start to get into a litigation issue, and we're already dealing with another one, so I kinda know the process is, at that point, we've gotta request permission to talk to town council about it, and if it's gonna move on to litigation, we ultimately need the board of selectmen to sign off on it as well.
Yeah, so let's do that. That's
Town
gonna be-
council's already been talking to Eric too, so he's well aware of the situation that's going on.
Okay, so what do you wanna do? Jim, what do you think?
Cease and desist.
And would it be, just a cease and desist until she can come into compliance, or is it a cease and desist until she can, meet her, come back into, the schedule that you guys have set forth, or is it a cease and desist period?
What I would say is that schedule is null and void, from my point of view,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
we would be starting over.
Mhm.
Is that a motion, Gary?
It's a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What was that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So there you go.
Alright, so I'll work with Adam to make sure, he's happy with it before it goes out the door. So Carla, if you can just make sure that we can talk to him on it, but he's pretty up to speed on it.
Is there anything that Neshoba does in terms of, information or contact with people who are doctors licensed in the state, and how they go about their practice or their actions?
Not that I know of, so maybe like pediatricians, I mean, occasionally our public health nurses will have like luncheons where they'll invite community members, and I believe it includes pediatricians, other nurses in the area, community service workers, people that might be involved in situations that we would be involved in, but as far as like a vet's office, I don't think
There's
there's
not a
any
lot of
outreach.
interaction.
I can tell you that speaking with the building inspector this morning on this, he said that that is an option of his that he doesn't want to do, would be to go to the Board of Veterinarian, whatever it is, that, to tell them what's going on, but he's a little leery of that right now. You know, he doesn't want to do that to her, so she gets in trouble as far as her medical license. But she is, she's got to comply with town and state regulations. This isn't a game. I mean, this is reality. If you want to open a business, you've got to follow the rules. Turning a house into a business is completely different than just moving into a spot that's already a business. There's a whole bunch of regulations that have to be met, and this board's been fair as far as our decision goes, and, our end of the deal wasn't met, so we are gonna start from square one, that she needs to come in and apply for permits again and permission to continue what she's doing. So we will have Rick send a cease and desist, and we'll see what goes from there.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead, Jim.
No, no,
Before we're all done with that, I made a mistake earlier when you opened the meeting, because I did have an addition to put in here.
Oh,
My mind went flat on me. Is Rick gonna be here for a little bit longer, or is he leaving?
yeah, I'm here till 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotta talk to Rick at some point, so let's carry the meeting
Yeah.
on, this can go to the end.
Yeah, okay, so we're getting there. All right, so now we've got 5 Turnpike Road housing update, Rick.
So, it's not too dissimilar, so, from where we left it, so the last time we had talked about it, you guys had said, let's refer this to council and we'll pursue it through litigation. So I contacted Adam that same day, his schedule and the Board of Selectmen's schedule worked out that we weren't gonna get in front of them until, next week, so I believe it's the 17th. I'm just waiting on a meeting time for that, but it'll be an executive session with the Board of Selectmen to make that request to, pursue.
So is the Board of Health involved in that too, or just
Yeah.
you?
So, I said that you wanted to go, because that's what you
Yeah.
had said originally. So, I'm just waiting on a meeting time, I believe we're on the agenda towards the end of the meeting. So as soon as I get that, I'll pass it on to you and Carla, but that's where it stands. I did reach out to, the, I think she's called Aging Services of North Central Massachusetts. She's a, I got a title right here. She's a protective service worker for them. And so she and Carla and I had hooked her up with Emily, who's the town's new community services person. And so they were gonna try to get together to see if there were any services available to the occupant that she might not have already received. So they're working on it from that, but I did reach out to that woman Anna, who works for Elder Services, and asked if there was any progress, because one of the things she had mentioned is she had submitted a request for services to get somebody to help her clean the apartment. So if it's clean, I'll go back and do an inspection. If she's gonna be out of the apartment, because there is also that eviction process that's happening, then I wanna know about that, because I don't want the town to spend money when it's.
Oh, she
we're
is,
not-
she is on list to be evicted?
She is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it just, last time I had talked to the owner of the apartment, they had to start their filing process over again, because originally they were in district court, and, Deborah's counsel that she had obtained, requested that it be moved to housing court, which is really where it should have been all along. And so, he had to file with the housing court to get that process restarted. But my understanding is that that might have progressed, so I'm gonna try to figure out before the 17th where all that stands, so that we're not spinning our wheels and spending money when we really don't have to be.
Yeah, good. Anytime we can save the town money so our budgets will pass, that's a good thing. Okay, let's see, that takes care of that. So we are down to 1.9 septic regulation update. Who's updating us?
I'll take the floor if you don't mind.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
In the midst of all the stuff that goes on around, we had a set of regs in place, essentially recommended by myself.
Yes.
And after some dust fell out of the sky, these regs got changed a little bit. I just want to give the board a little food for thought, that when you take the original design back prior to the changing of our regs, that there was a 1,500-gallon septic tank involved for most all systems, including 4-bedroom, that was occupied by a leaching facility of some type on the other end. We intermittently put I believe it was a 1,000-gallon tank midstream to give additional settling purposes, so the effluent that arrived at the leaching facility was the purest it could be for longevity. This got changed, and we're still using a 1,500-gallon tank divided into 1,000 and a 500, which essentially chokes the law down a little bit as far as
I'll call you back. I don't even know who that is.
They're
I'm
angry.
sorry, I apologize. I don't even know who that was.
Whoever it is, they're angry.
Anyway, restricting back down to the 1,000-gallon initial part and then a 500-gallon settling area, it does not have the same effect that we had proposed originally that got changed. I think the board should think about this a little bit more, and we should possibly go to a 2,000 two-compartment tank opposed to twin tanks, and still have a 1,500 settling area and a 500 gallon, 1,500 storage area and a 500 gallon settling area prior to going to the D-box. That's not a proposal, that's a thought for suggestions to sleep on.
Yeah.
Because by giving the extra gallonage for the settling area, that still restricts us a little bit. I should do some research on what they can make the tanks as far as our installations are concerned. But if we're gonna put these systems in the ground, people are spending big money, this is all finance stuff. We wanna get the longest duration of good absorption we can from our septic systems. And this is eliminating all the upgrades we make in 15 or 20 years to probably 25 to 30 years. Here we go.
Maybe someone,
Can't do it right now. I'd like the board to reconsider what our regs are as they are today, and I'd like to encourage them to try to just expand the size of the storage and settling areas in these tanks, so that when we're dropping these tanks in the ground for the extra money it's gonna cost, we're gonna gain many years of longevity.
so, just curious, let me see if I kinda understand. Are you looking to have like, if you wanna do two separate tanks, what if we did a 1,000 gallon tank and a 1,000 gallon, like a 2,000 gallon split tank, so you still have the 1,000,
Well,
Gallons
we were
to
using
drop off.
1,500 gallon tanks.
right?
So by restricting it down to 1,000, we're not actually getting the settling time and the division time in the tank either, because we're throwing the capacity in there. So in the tank itself, you got your scum and your sludge.
Yeah.
And you got all the particles in the middle, they have to eventually separate themselves.
Okay,
By going down to the 1,000, we're not giving it the ample time that it had previously. We're kind of rushing it through to the settling area. So I think it's necessary and it's a better position to have that 1,500 gallon storage area for the actual waste to separate prior to going into the settling tank, so that the effluent going to the D box is the purest it can be.
And so I think what Jim's talking about is a 2,000 gallon, 2 compartment tank. So it would still be a single tank, it would just.
well, that's what I said,
Compartment.
2,000
Yeah.
gallon tank.
Yeah, but we need that 1,500 back. We
So-
need that
so what if we
1,500 for the
just-
main tank.
Well, what I'm saying is, we do 1,500 and a 500 settling tank?
That
On the
would,
end?
that would work a little bit better, but we could do it in a single tank with still having 2 compartments.
That's what I'm talking about. two
Okay,
compartments,
we're on
yeah.
the same page, 2 different terms.
Yeah, because you want a 1,500 gallon waste tank and then a
Correct.
split 500 gallon, what do they call it, settling tank.
Settling tank.
Right, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we don't need to determine, I want
Right.
you guys to try to think about this
Yeah.
a little bit, because
Hmm.
the better we can purify the effluent going into the distribution box, the longer the longevity of the system.
Okay,
All right, and
Yeah.
that was my goal years ago, and this is not my idea, this is Bud Johnson's idea. He did this years ago, brought it to
I don't
me.
even know who he is.
He was an installer in town, I think
Okay.
he's still alive actually.
Really?
But he put 2 tanks in his own personal house.
Yeah,
And the system just kept going and going and
Yeah.
going, it lasted indefinitely.
yeah.
I think they're still using it today in the same house, so
Yeah,
it's been
they
in the
are.
ground.
Yeah.
How long
Yeah,
has
he
it been
actually
in
had
there?
testing done on it, and
Yeah.
it showed a pretty significant decrease in total suspended solids and
Yeah.
BOD.
Rick's 100% in tune with what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say to everybody.
Yeah,
And also, right now, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't the state, hasn't that, they mandated fuel tanks now in the state too?
Only for anything other than a single family home. So
Other than a
single family
single
homes can
family
still
home,
do a
okay.
1,500 gallon single compartment.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see it in time that
Yeah.
even your residential areas are gonna have dual compartment tanks of some
Yeah.
type. Because they work, they last. And when you're investing this money into a home,
yeah,
and let's put it in perspective, we all got a budget. And if you've got children you're raising, you buy a home and you've got a good septic system, when you go to refinance to send the child to school,
Yeah.
you're gonna pass.
Right.
By passing that, it eliminates all the disruption, it saves the sandbanks from having to bring more sand in. It's just a very good thing so that the longevity is right there. And to get an extra 10 years out of a $30,000 system, that's a pretty,
now this tank would work for, obviously.
Up to 4 bedrooms.
Up to 4 bedrooms. So
correct.
4 bedrooms, you
Yeah.
need something bigger, or?
With it, I'm not gonna go there right now, because we
Oh.
don't have many homes beyond 4 bedrooms.
Right.
But to go with something different,
Yeah.
we might wanna add an additional settling tank, I'm not
Yeah.
sure, that can be
Okay.
discussed later.
Oh, all right,
Yeah,
But,
so how the reg's written now, it sounds like the proposal would be to make it, instead of a 1,500 gallon minimum capacity, a 2,000 gallon minimum capacity, and it just gets split based on the requirements in Title V. So it already goes through the calculation, so once you go to like a 5-bedroom, you bump up to a 2,500 gallon 2 compartment.
I see.
Okay, so there's something
Yeah.
in place too. We don't have much of that in town
Yeah.
happening.
No, my only concern was with what he said, is we're right now at, what are we at, 1,000 gallon tank?
In 500, single
500.
1,500 gallon 2 compartment, which breaks
Right.
down to 1,000 and a 5.
Yeah, so if we went to 15 and 5, they have tanks like that in the area? Oh, okay, so it's nothing, we're gonna go like, oh my God, you gotta order it.
No, and this is
Yeah.
food for thought, because
Yeah.
I know what we had in the past and how,
Right.
well, for example, the houses across the street from me, those new homes,
Yeah,
they all have dual tank systems.
right,
The people that just bought the house across from me, the first actual owner, other than Todd Rivers, who built it,
yeah,
that system's gonna go on who knows how long.
right.
And that's what we should be looking out for, the longevity of these systems,
Mhm.
instead of putting in something that's going to go into failure right away.
Right.
And people coming out of the cities aren't familiar with not having garbage disposals in their homes.
Right.
And they put all kinds of stuff down the drain that should not be going down the drain. This will also assist the abuse of the use.
Do they make a garbage disposal for septic tanks now?
Not to my knowledge.
Some companies claim to.
Oh,
I
but they're
mean,
not
you
really,
still add in solids. I
Yeah.
mean, your Title V allows it, your regs specifically do not.
I see,
And the requirements mean bigger tanks for additional settling.
I see. So how, I'm curious as hell, how do we know when someone remodels a kitchen if they put that in?
Well, sometimes they get caught, sometimes they don't.
Oh, that's just curious, I mean,
I mean, usually when
because
we
a
find
plumber's
out
pulling
about
a
it.
permit, he's pulling a permit for.
There's always the
you know.
moonlight contractor, so we
Yeah.
can't control everything all the
Right,
time.
I'm just curious if that's
But
something we could figure out.
by improving our systems back to what was prior to a previous board,
Yeah,
you're just going to throw our systems back into a longer longevity.
yeah,
And that's where my mind is coming from. For people like you with children, when you want to, you gotta have a Title V to pass the remortgage, et cetera. You don't have to worry about it because you're gonna pass Title V. So you don't have to put another septic system in instead of sending the kid to college.
well, what if you had, say,
I'm not doing
3
that.
giant dogs?
Tell them to go outside.
They are outside.
They are, okay, just checking.
They don't use the toilet.
I haven't trained them for that
No,
yet.
they're not that.
So it's food for thought. Let's discuss this at a
Yeah.
couple of further meetings. and
Yes.
When we all,
3 things, cost difference.
minimal, very minimal.
The next thing would be, what are the top 3 failure causes in tanks? And is this gonna prevent those? And then the guy who put this test system in, what else did he do to his system?
Nothing,
Make it
just 2
run.
tanks.
So just 2 tanks, everything else is the same?
Everything
leach
else is the
field,
same.
Everything else the same?
We cannot change abuse. People are going to do what they gotta do, we can't stop abuse. We can help the longevity, but abuse is still gonna cause failure prior to normal usage. So, that's upon the homeowner themselves. You wanna mess up your septic system, throw the grease and all that stuff down there.
Right.
We can't control
mine's
that.
still here. Yes.
Yeah, we can't control that.
No,
But we can assist in the longevity, because by doing these tanks, it's going to assist in the abuse of these systems.
well, I like your idea with the bigger single tank as opposed to like a 1,000 gallon tank and then piping into another 1,000 gallon tank. I think that's excessive,
Yeah.
only for the reason of cost.
Well, even back then, it wasn't that much difference in the cost. You had to
Was
dig
that
a...
before Title V?
No, this is all after Title
Is
V.
it? Yeah.
I think it was 2004.
Might have been 2004.
Oh,
And once
really?
again, I took
Yeah.
this from some other person, and I just realized that was working, that's why I brought it to the Township Board of Health.
Yeah.
And I looked at the longevity of the system for the taxpayers and homeowners. I'd much rather have a system last 35 years than one that only lasts 25 years.
I'm doing pretty good on mine so far. Mine's until probably,
Well, that's because you're a
50 or
cute little
60?
turd.
I've got an 1,800 gallon tank. 800 gallon tank that's worked just fine for me.
Anyhow,
Yes.
I think that's enough discussion on that at this time. I'd like you
Yeah.
gentlemen to think about that. And
Yeah.
have further discussion for a couple of more meetings and
Yeah.
see what we can
Yeah.
figure out.
And we'll work on our regulations. Okay, Gavin, you got anything else? No? All right, let's move on. Guys, I'm gonna move us down a work session real quick and see if we can,
You're all set, Rick, right?
Yeah, I'll
get
go answer your
Stan
phones.
going here, so
Okay,
we
Sean
can
Toss's
release
looking
Stan.
through you for a bottom bed tomorrow.
So let's go
I don't know if
to
it's on my
1.13, Recycle Center update, including Stan. Hi, Stan.
Don't stand me down, I didn't do anything wrong.
This is already signed up.
He knows it's coming, he knows it's coming.
You were giving me the eagle eye.
Here we go.
So
Thanks for
you decided to do this for free for the town, thank you.
Yeah. I'll just
I
send it
I
over
needed
you.
to talk to Rick still, I didn't want him to go.
Oh, no, he's just gonna be in, he's just.
Okay,
gonna
yeah,
be-
yeah,
All right, leave it.
Is that something you need at the meeting, or do you need it just?
He's gotta, I wanted to come in front of the board.
Oh,
yes.
okay, we'll get him.
I forgot when I came in when you asked.
Yeah,
me.
you asked me, yeah, okay.
Here's our little plan that we've come up with. So this
Saw your pink little markers.
Jim's, the thorn in Jim's side is this little area here that we went out, it had water in it, but there's a drain line coming out of it. I'm saying that it's not a wetland, per the Wetland Protection Act, because it's too small.
Right.
The towns and Concom's probably gonna consider a wetland, although if you read their regs the way they're written, it doesn't qualify, but I think,
I've never seen wetlands with a metal pipe feeding
know.
it, but
I think
personally.
the cleanest way and the cheapest way
I know.
out of it is to just file an RDA and get them to give us a negative determination.
Okay.
And then we are gonna have to file with the endangered species folks.
Right, but we knew
Because there
that.
Yeah.
that's us here. So,
Okay.
that,
It was
That's good.
suggested to me that by the Board of Selectmen that we do away with that and put in a transfer station maybe. And I'm thinking, why did no one care about the endangered species to do that, but not our slab?
unfortunately, the
We
select,
don't have a budget to do a recycling,
Oh,
transfer
just-
station.
just-
That's
yeah.
just blown out of the
Oh,
water.
I'm just curious why
Can't even,
that is.
because we don't even own the access road to that.
No, I know, that's just a nice thing that they do for us.
Yeah.
so this, I kinda have this in the same area where the bins are now.
Right.
And I think you could have flexibility with that.
Yeah.
I got a 30 by 50 slab, a recharge trench on the back, and slope it 2% going away, and then have some kind of a paved or concrete apron on that end, so when they roll the things on and off, the concrete doesn't get
Our
degraded.
goal is to pretty much,
We wanted to like pave it
yeah,
all.
pave all the way around it,
Pavable,
so.
okay.
Well,
As much as
maybe
we
pave
can.
or maybe regrind, whatever we
Okay,
can
all
afford,
right.
because
Something
we are
so when the
working on
people drive around,
Yeah.
they're not getting
Okay.
out in the
it. Yeah,
uneven
and it'll still be
terrain.
easier to
and-
clean up
Yeah, okay.
than as opposed to muddy.
I say, let's
Yeah.
propose pavement, and if you can't afford it or whatever, then we can go to regrind.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we're also probably not gonna try and do the whole thing in one
Yeah.
fiscal year, because we do have a cap on our spending.
And that's another good reason to get a negative determination, because
Yeah.
Right.
then the Concom's
Mhm.
fingers are out of the pie there.
Carla, do
Yeah.
they always back in from this direction to get those dumpsters in and out?
It
Yeah, they
is
do.
that way, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna recommend to the board that this whole slab gets moved further back, take that 60 and make it 50. So
Okay.
these drivers have plenty of access, they're not gonna get into the
Okay.
sheds,
So we wanna
etc.
make that 50?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. I think
Okay.
that
that's a
extra
good
10
idea.
feet's all day long,
yeah.
especially
Oh,
for
yeah.
a
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
inexperienced
Yeah.
operator.
I like that, yes. This is,
that's a grading contour, because they have
Oh, okay.
specified some elevations there.
yeah,
And that those are, I might even just remove those, and you can put it at whatever elevation you want. 'Cause
Now-
you're gonna make a flat spot in there and just plunk it in there.
Let me ask you this, when we had, one of the guys come in to take out something down here, he couldn't come down here and make this turn. Oh, the compost bins. He had a 53-yard truck.
oh
And he
Jesus.
couldn't come in here and go around, so we
Could
had
he-
to stop here and we had to back him up, turn him around and go back.
Why
But
didn't he just come,
he said he couldn't do it.
he couldn't
Really?
Yeah, he
turn
said he
that?
couldn't, and,
Well, that would be,
Those are,
to Jim's
that's
point,
a-
if we move this
It is
back,
actually a lot closer than.
if we move this
Yeah.
back, they should be able to come in and just
Okay.
make that switch.
okay, I just wanna make
He should have
sure.
come in around here, he could've gone right around the
Yeah,
building.
see-
That's what I.
Right.
I had no idea, he was, yes, it was odd.
Yeah.
Keith Letourneau, we ended up having to get Keith Letourneau because
Oh,
then
Jesus.
we had nothing
What?
to, bring the,
He couldn't make this
You
turn.
can, you
the whole
can pull
containers, all the
forward right
compost
here
bins.
and back all the way right up into that.
Whoa, whoa, That's like work.
That's,
But I
Just
would
saying.
think they could make that swing, and then they can, that's wide open over there.
Yeah, and by having that 10 feet further
Now-
back, that gives them more room for the
Yeah.
sign.
Do you think that we should move these? I'm worried because it's so
What if
wet over there that.
We gotta get this determination squared away first. Once we
Yeah.
get that squared away, then we got a wide open
Yeah,
panel.
because there is technically a whole bunch of
There's
trees
all-
and crap over here,
Yeah.
Carl. We could actually move them down to that area by the gate,
Yeah.
And
you
these
know what I
are,
mean?
these are covered and closed, so they're not really posing any, they're
Right.
not, no, nothing's gonna
Yeah.
come out of them and get
Right.
into whatever you wanna call that thing.
Okay.
With all the acreage that we have, in the
Fantastic.
years that this has
That's
been
what
in
it's really
use,
Fantastic.
Yeah,
we've been disturbing everything right up within 10 feet of that, maybe 8 feet of that.
You follow this,
maybe even closer.
there's a swale through here that comes up,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes out of the landfill, so it's not like it's anything pristine. It's groundwater coming out from under the
It's a cap dump that's
Right,
now a
right.
recycling center.
And then I just pulled this frost slab, but I really think that since there's gonna be weight and everything, whoever's gonna do it, you should get them to give you some specs on it, or even get a structural engineer to give you some input on it, because
You wanna put a concrete footing under there, huh?
just, well, that's one detail that I think you should get somebody.
If you don't put a footing under that, the whole thing's gonna crack and fall apart even when reused. It's gotta be
That's what I'm
built
concerned
properly.
with, that, right, so I think you need to get some separate specs on that from someone who knows, who does that.
You're looking for a
We're
structural
not
engineer,
structural-
more than-
we're not
And this,
structural engineers.
this slab
Right,
should go
great person.
over the foundation, and it should be tied in with rod coming up into the edge of the
Right,
slab.
that's just insulation, I think.
We went to 3 people to get the pricing for the concrete pad, and I think at this point, maybe we should go back to them and
Yeah, they'll give you some specs.
give some specs now that we have actually a piece of
Right,
paper that I
now
can
we know what
hand
size it's gonna be,
them,
and that's,
Yeah.
Yeah, now we can get a little more information on that.
Okay.
right, so I'll make those couple of changes, I'll file this with conservation. The RDA is gonna be cheap, that's the cheapest way I can
Yeah.
do it with the Concom, and then I gotta file with endangered species.
And we're gonna talk to Mike about getting us a waiver for that, because he said,
This is a state fee though.
he said that he had funds that would pay for it.
Oh, okay. So,
So, the land use
the owner
Nice.
is supposed to sign this, are you guys comfortable signing it as the owner? Technically, it's the town, or should we just go up and have the town manager sign it?
I would do the town manager.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
the
think we're
chief-
authorized.
The chief,
I don't
the
think
chief,
we are either.
chief procurement
It's not- it
officer
wouldn't be the
too.
first time.
Have you got it filled out? Is it all filled out?
No, I just need the signature, that's all.
He's not gonna sign anything unless it's filled out.
Alright, I'll fill it out and then I'll come and see you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that'd be great. He's leaving on June 4th, so the sooner you can come, the better.
Alright.
Monday, right?
If I get it filled out today or tomorrow, I'll
Yeah.
just email it to you and then you can get it to sign it.
He only works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so you actually have till Monday.
Yeah.
wow.
He's out Monday, actually, he said.
He is?
Yeah, they have a party for him Monday.
Oh,
Oh,
cause
no, that's the new guy.
yeah.
Well,
Having a-
yeah, but he's in charge come Monday, the new guy.
Yes.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
The new
If you do it, but the new guy.
Oh, you want the new man
No,
to
I
sign
was
it?
gonna say, it doesn't matter which guy signs it.
Right.
But if you wanted Ross to sign it, you'd have to do it. Well, actually, you can't do it.
He's not here today.
Yeah, so he
That's what I'm
couldn't
saying,
sign
he's
it
not-
at all, you'll have to wait till the new guy on Monday.
Well, he's still here till June 4th though, Ross.
Yeah, but he won't be the official,
Oh, you think he's not gonna sign it as the official?
no, he's not, after Monday. He
Okay.
said Monday, he is officially done,
If
he's
you
just
can
staying
get
to
that
help
to
the
me.
guy
No, if you can get that
through
to
the
me,
process of starting, so he will not be
tomorrow,
our official
I can email it to
town
him,
administrator.
and chances
as of-
are he will
Okay.
send it
Monday.
out to me.
Any
because we
new guys
email
who wants
that
to
out.
sign it?
Yep. Yes,
Okay, that'd be great.
yeah, so we'll, there's a supposedly
Okay.
meet and greet Monday, but I'm sure I'll be working, so
I,
I will not be,
I think that Stan
Right,
and I
you know.
can get this to Ross
Yeah.
through an email before Monday.
oh, okay, there you go.
You think you'd wanna, how far around do you think you'd wanna connect that pavement, right?
Yeah,
And then maybe, what, 20 feet around it, or?
That I don't know. I can't, I don't know if we wanna pave up to these, just, carry this in. I think, isn't there a little pavement on the side of the building too?
Very little.
Yeah,
Very
maybe,
little.
maybe just pave, connect
There was pavement there, cause they used to stop there to pay the fees to get up
Connect
there.
these, connect this.
Yeah.
Like that, and then bring that over to there, like that, and hook it up to that, and then just bring it over, bring it over
Yeah.
here.
For us.
The more pavement we put in place, the less dust we're gonna have
Right,
running around.
right.
Yeah.
It's actually environmentally better to do.
That's
that.
exactly right.
Right, okay.
Otherwise, we need a water truck down there on
All right.
wet days.
Okay.
to get it down.
As soon as you can get that to
We'll
me,
hire a water
that
buffalo, we'll do
updated
it
plan, that will
ourselves.
be great, because then I can start getting that out to you.
Thank you, Stan. We appreciate that very much.
You didn't
Somewhere.
even beat me up.
Not
Not
bad.
yet, not yet.
You made it out.
It's coming.
Next time I come into the conservation commission, I'll beat you.
Oh, don't even go there
Remember
today.
that day? Yes.
All right.
Stan, thank you very much.
Thanks,
you.
Dan.
Okay, let's go back up to the,
Invoices,
no, well, we still have septic permits and other approvals, but I don't think
we
we
don't
have.
have any,
Okay, so let's go to,
so,
1.11, invoices.
okay, and then you have
How
your
how
minutes.
about getting Rick back here before you go?
Yes, all right, I'll run and grab them real quick.
Okay, did anyone get a chance to look at the minutes?
I've looked at the
Yeah.
minutes, yeah. One
Because,
time?
Jim, Chris has already signed it, if you wanna sign his copy, initial, and then Gavin can initial that copy, and then I have all three of your initials on one copy, which will
Oh,
actually
you
be
want all three
better.
on one?
Well, I think it would be better for the,
Sorry, here, let me have that one also.
yeah. There we go.
How's your ankle doing?
I think it's doing okay today.
Alright.
I was quite swollen yesterday.
That's what's going on.
Grab a chair, Rick.
Yes.
I'm gonna,
Want me to come close here?
Don't go within swinging distance, he's got long arms.
for all
Okay,
those
so-
who were at the town meeting, we realized that the water department's got the approval for that, treatment plan or whatever, because,
Over by Harbor Trace.
yeah, what's the name of that stuff that's in the water?
PFAS?
PFAS,
Mm,
okay. PFAS does not come out of our septic system, does it?
No.
So, I suppose you could have a pretty scarce amount because it's on non-stick pans, it's on our clothing, it's on basically everything. So, if you're doing washes, if you're cleaning your clothes, I suppose you might have some residual that makes its way down the drains.
Okay, how does that, I can't come up with the right word, how does that migrate to larger quantities? How does it regenerate itself?
Well, it's kind of like one of those forever chemicals, so it's not getting, typical leach system is only really taking care of bacteria, viruses, those types of things, so it's not filtering out PFAS, it's not filtering out, nitrogen in most cases, and some other things, so if it's making its way into the wastewater, it's not something that the septic system's capable of filtering out.
Okay. It was brought to my attention, and I thought it was a very valid point, that we should ask Neshoba to do some research on these water samples and situations so we can better identify where the source of this is coming from. Because they're pointing their finger to our septic systems right now, and I don't believe that's the largest source. The wells that they have in the Brook area down there are shallow wells, they're not real deep wells. We got other artesian wells that are in houses that can go down 500 or 600 feet to get water. You're not gonna find any of that stuff in our wells that are that deep. But
You could.
it's very minimal, though, it's not gonna be something that's gonna be easily traced, let's put it that way. Anyway, it was brought to my attention, and I think it's a great idea, to see if Neshoba can pursue some avenues with our well water samples, etc., to try to determine and identify what is the actual cause of that, because I don't believe that the water department should be blaming that on the towns and septic systems. And that's,
They try to blame everything, they
okay,
try-
but I believe we
Yeah.
gotta cover our butts and ask Neshoba, because we pay them, we're all paying dues, and this also reflects on the surrounding towns in Neshoba to find out what the cause of this is. Because if we got problems with septic systems, that this is getting into the ground through septic systems, we're gonna have to take notice of that. We gotta
No.
figure out why that's happening, because we don't wanna pollute groundwater.
No.
That's out of the picture.
But
So
my question with that too, Jim, is this stuff is only just started to be tested for recently, is
In
that
the
correct?
past,
Yeah.
probably 3 years.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this stuff could have been there forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's just like, everybody goes, oh, don't drink the water. Well, I've been drinking the water on my faucet for over 30 years.
Well, before we know it, if we don't step on this right now and cover our bases,
Yes.
it's gonna end up, they're gonna be putting town water throughout the town and putting in big treatment plants, the whole 9
Yeah.
yards. And I'm looking at the longevity in our future, and if we get a jump on that at this stage of the game, it's going to assist us in resolving where this comes from and what we gotta do to stop it.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be based on the Shelburne and the abutting towns also, it's not just pertaining to Townsend.
So are you proposing to try to test private wells then, or are you just gonna go based on the public water supply data that you have on the PFAS?
I'm gonna address both.
How are you gonna pay?
That's
for
what
it?
Neshoba is gonna have to help us determine how to make it feasible, so it's not gonna cost everybody an arm and a leg, so
So
we
this
can
is something
determine.
we should do
It's-
multiple towns,
it's gonna-
not just all of us.
It's gonna,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not cheap to test for, so somebody's gotta pay for it.
yes,
And the
but
state's not testing it.
without covering our butts, this could also put a spiral on water departments to go through everybody's yard until you can't even have well water anymore. And I'm very concerned about that for the longevity in the future here. I'm not looking at it for today or tomorrow.
So I guess if you can give me the chance to talk to Jim Gareffi to see if he has any thoughts on how we might approach it. But, you know, if your intention is to test private wells, you know, it's not a cheap test. I think it's somewhere around $600 or $700
Yeah.
to test for it.
We need to have Neshoba start researching this. This is the board's decision, I'm proposing this, this is not my decision. It's the board's decision
Yeah,
to listen to what I'm specifying and to see if we wanna take action and ask Neshoba
yeah,
to start looking into this before it gets so far out of control, we can't stop the spin.
I understand that, but my concern is that if each test for a well is $600.
That's something that's not feasible and it's not
Right.
practical, but there's gotta be something we can do to look into this to find out what the cause and the source of it is, cause
And as far as I know, it was just the Harbor Trace wells. It wasn't any of the other wells.
then how's it getting into those wells?
Yep.
All right?
Alright.
And, we gotta protect us as far, cause they're throwing it all in our lap, and I was not thrilled with that at the town meeting.
Nope.
I was very upset with that at the town meeting. So, anyway, I wanted to
Yeah,
bring
and I
that,
think, you know, one of the other things while we're talking about it too, because we got lots of calls, I think Carla got lots of calls as a result of it, is, you know, when they had that discussion about the PFAS and the water department got up there, they said, you know, there's a question about private wells and what was gonna happen as far as private wells go. And he had said to contact the Townsend Board of Health and that they had a testing program. So the confusion was that there is a testing program, through Mass DEP, but in order to qualify for the program, the town had to be served by at least 60% private wells, which Townsend does not meet that threshold. So Townsend wasn't included in that study. Ashby is, and maybe Ashby's close enough to help us understand, you know, whether it's an issue over there and if it could potentially be on that side of
Lunenburg
town,
is too.
Townsend. Lunenburg is too.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's some surrounding towns and that are, you know, included in that program, and we can look at their data as well. But as far as private wells go, unless you guys put some regulation into place that started looking at PFAS, you know, really, we would be limited to what's already been tested unless you wanted to do something else.
yeah, this is not the can of worms that I'm asking the board to open. I'd just like to do a little bit of research to find out what the main source of that is.
Sure.
Because we should not be being fall guys on this.
Yep.
And this should not be intimidating or scaring our people that have private wells, etc. So we gotta stop this before it escalates out of control.
So, yeah, I'll talk to Jim and, you know, see if he's got any thoughts on where we might be able to start that. And then I'll report back to you guys next meeting.
Okay,
Sounds good,
that
yeah.
sounds good. You spoke in favor of what I'm proposing?
Yeah, we definitely need more information about
Oh, yeah.
that, so we can better address people calling in.
Yeah, that's
Rather
gonna
than
help
getting-
Carla also,
Right.
because she'll have something to share with them that's of,
The PFAS thing is on
good
like,
information.
this national level of heightened awareness right now.
Hmm.
Julie's dealing with it at old Air Force bases up in Maine,
Hmm.
where they were firefighting training areas, and now all of that chemical, which has all PFAS in it and other stuff, is getting all over the place.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to clean it up,
No.
because it's super expensive.
Yeah, I mean, the firefighting foam is definitely the biggest contributor, so I don't know if there's any history in Townsend where you might be able to tie it back to that. I mean, that's really
She must have just
what
said that.
caused the contamination on Devon's.
Does it come out of plastic chemicals and stuff like
I'd
that?
have to find out, so
Okay,
yeah.
this is why I'm proposing this to the board, to start doing some research so that we have our ducks together when other situations come up where they're pointing the finger at us. Because if we're not the origin of it, we shouldn't be blamed for it.
No, absolutely.
Okay, Rick?
Alright, yeah, I can do that.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very, very much.
Yep, I know that wasn't on the agenda, we're actually gonna have to put that, oops, my glasses. Put that under the addition or deletion within 48 hours, Colin.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Yeah, thanks, Rick.
We've bounced around enough, let's see, we're at invoices, I believe.
Invoices, April travel, the Carla. Rubber bands for the townwide cleanup, $4.63. Hard to believe I needed rubber bands, but I did, I couldn't find them anywhere. Unitil, normal bill, monthly bill. Kitchen scrap buckets, which we've already sold 3 of them. We sell them for $5, we paid $4.75, so we're making 25 cents administrative fee for the filing of the paperwork and whatnot. And that is all that I have for invoices.
You're gonna tell, this is for the recycle center? Or is this,
That was to roll the paper the Earth Day bags.
why is it attached to a Unitil bill?
Oh, it says Unitil.
Yeah, I know, oh, that's why I asked you, if this is for the,
Oh,
Recycle center.
yes, it is, I'm sorry,
Oh,
I thought you
okay.
were looking at something else.
no, that's why I was
Something to
like,
do with something else.
that's different.
Okay, you
Okay.
guys need to see that.
Coming back at you guys. What's this one? No, this is the rubber bands.
That's the rubber bands. I actually had to coerce Janet to get a toner, which is on here too, because it didn't meet the minimum, oh, that's outside. We have to pay $35 to get free shipping, and I needed them like tomorrow, and I didn't wanna, and I thought of going to Family Dollar, I probably should have done that.
That is not me this time.
Yeah, hey, shut this thing off.
All right, there you go, Tom.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw this phone against the wall because I need a new one, that badly.
Gavin, did you take a look at the minutes?
He did, they already
Oh, already
signed it.
signed, okay, so we're all set with
Good to
that.
go.
Recycle Center Committee appointee Sally Coyview.
Sally Koivu has signed up to join the recycling committee,
Really?
yay!
She's a good girl.
She's an excellent girl,
Yes.
and I like her very much.
Very
So,
thorough.
what we could do, if it pleases the board, if someone could give a motion to recommend to the selectmen that Sally Koivu is appointed to the recycling
I make a motion to
committee.
recommend to the selectmen that Sally Clovula is appointed to the recycling committee.
Term of 3 years.
For the term of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and I shall attend that meeting to make sure that they understand that the board would like her appointed.
I've known her for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that takes
Okay.
care of that. Now we have future agenda items, stable regulations. We're still tabled on, but we will get there.
Have you seen 96 Fitchburg Road
Yeah, it's
lately?
getting there. Cleaning
Yeah.
up. Getting
Have
cleaned
they
up.
moved out?
Boy,
Yeah,
they
no
are
animals.
still a lot of crap there though, man.
Yeah.
She left
I don't think
a lot
it'll
of stuff
go.
behind.
I don't think I'll go.
Gavin?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
No? I thought your wife was here to take you to lunch.
She was supposed to go to the dentist, so I guess they didn't do anything, so that
Oh.
would've been nice. I've got a sick kid at home now.
Oh,
She probably went home to deal with Colin.
yeah. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, next meeting is May 26th at noon. On a personal note, these noontime meetings in the middle of the week are a bit much for me, because once I go back to work again, it's gonna be difficult, Gavin. We are
Yeah.
working to give you, a couple, this month and next month, I think we agreed on, so you can get squared away, but we gotta really move back to either a beginning or an end of day, because it kinda,
Beginning of the day is fine.
because,
End of day is tough.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm just not available.
Mm.
For the next 2 months. July should be fine.
Yeah.
In the evening, beginning of the week, if you guys wanna do that.
Yeah.
Actually, end of the week in the evenings in July and August should be okay too.
I would recommend that you guys move that though, instead of a Monday to a Tuesday,
Oh,
because
Rick's
there's gonna
here?
be a lot of people that will have long weekends and will not be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, Tuesdays
Yeah.
are gonna be, but Monday's not a good night for me.
Well, that's what I'm saying, instead of Monday, do it Tuesday.
Yep.
And we could do it maybe like a Tuesday or at 5 or 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, so we need to.
So,
Town insurance agent.
when would
Oh,
that,
wow.
when do you wanna start doing that?
Tuesday, so that would be.
Well, we actually have our meeting set for, I think, this month and next month.
Right, so.
If we could move next month would be helpful to me,
Where's-
especially Thursdays, because I will miss some of those when I go camping, so.
So,
So we have June 9th, June 23rd right now.
Yeah.
Let me find my calendar.
and then it would be July,
I could do evenings on those days.
In
I
June?
mean, yeah,
so you wanna,
On Thursday or
ninth.
Tuesday?
well, on Tuesday, I've got a client booked on the 7th and baseball game on the 21st.
I will have to check.
so we were originally looking at June on the 9th and the 23rd, right, on
Yeah,
Thursdays?
both of those days, that's something
Yeah.
you changed tonight?
Can you do those at night?
I can do those at night.
Do you wanna switch them instead in the 9th and the 23rd from noon to 5?
That's
fine.
with
Yeah,
me,
I can
Jim.
do that.
You good with that?
Okay,
I can do that up front, yeah.
okay, so that way you've got that. So
Maybe
those-
we ought to think 9:30, just so Carla can hang around for hours and
5
hours. and
PM.
hours. No,
5.
9 o'clock at night would be good.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
So where are we going? We going
Yeah.
at 5 or?
We're gonna go at 5, okay, for the 9th and the 23rd in June. Do you wanna stay with that for July and go to the 14th and the 28th?
Thursday, I
Well, you
can,
said he was camping, right?
I camp, I usually go Thursday through Sunday, so.
Okay, do you wanna then
I
go
don't know
July
what
on
days-
Tuesdays?
We can stay with it if you
How
want,
about
guys.
if we get
and-
through June and then plan July?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, at least that'll
Alright.
give me a chance
Okay.
to,
Yeah.
I'll write down what I have available and,
July, most of my evenings are open right now because baseball's done by 4th of July.
okay.
nice.
I don't know, speaking of time off, if anyone saw my email, but I am
Yeah.
166
Yes.
hours of vacation. I can roll over 1 week as far as I know, but that's still 120 hours, so that's gonna be like a good 3 weeks. So what I'm trying to do is take like Thursdays, Tuesdays and Fridays off for the next
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then maybe do like a Thursday, Friday, Monday.
Yep.
But I can't be out for an entire week. It's just not possible being a one-man show. So, unless I'm going to Aruba or
Woo-hoo.
Sicily, I would make the time.
Yes,
But I think it would be easier for me to just do a couple of days here and there.
Whatever you wanna do.
Okay, and I have it on the web that says, office
go.
hours next week. And then
Oh.
it says, check this weekly.
I don't know if you already got that one, but, that one's.
Oh, yes. This Monday, the 16th, freshmen will be available for the new town administrator that's coming in,
Yes, at 9 AM
At
in the
9
Great
a.m.
Hall,
in the Great Hall.
yes,
Oh, refreshments.
Refreshments
On the 16th?
yes,
on the
at
16th.
9 AM. I'm not sure I'm available, but, would be nice to have someone from the board, if not 2 people from the board would be very nice.
Yeah, right now I'm booked to work
So
that day.
maybe it might just be 1, or it might be 2 if I'm not working.
He's gonna have a lot of people up there.
Yeah,
Who's new?
Eric
Eric
Slagle.
Slagle, I thought it was Stahl, but
It was Slagle.
it might be. I just
He's
looked
the
at it.
assistant city manager in Lowell, and he's been in Lowell since 2005.
Oh, wow.
Yep,
That's all I know.
this is his first job as a town administrator.
Town hall, 9 o'clock, party and food.
So he's, that's why Ross is hanging around for another couple of weeks, just,
Right.
he's actually gonna sit, he said he's gonna sit in the
Selectmen's chambers.
selectmen's chambers, and if he needs help, he'll be there to assist him, so.
Probably watching Brad, I should have been sitting for the last 2 years.
No, come on, I was thinking on the front steps, but that's another story. Anyway, okay, so can we get a motion to close?
Make a motion to adjourn at 1:20.
120?
Don't look at that thing, but,
That's not right.
That's
not right.
No wonder I'm sitting here thirsty.
what, boy,
I need water.
can I get a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thank you, guys. Great meeting.